AI system is keeps on having biases in them. So we have seen that how this bias problems keeps on occurring in the AI based systems. What are the different type of biases that we saw? So let's see what exactly is this bias and how companies usually deal with these biases, and what are the steps by which we can fix these biases. So starting off with the general definition, bias is any anomaly, anything which is different from the usual pattern. So you in machine learning also you have the word anomaly. So which means that maybe some features, maybe some data which is different from the rest of the data or rest of the features that deviates from the normal behavior. So this is referred to as bias, and it could make the system behave in an unusual way, something which no one expected it to be. So this bias is definitely a problem while building the AI based systems. So we can have different types of biases. This we have already seen. What are the types of biases? Broadly, if we divide them, it could be one, the cognitive biases. So something which is there inside our brain, our psychology, maybe the way we think, the way we have seen things around us, the way we have grown, the experience we had. So based on that, every one of us has different psychologies, right? So the thought process of one individual is different from another individual. So again, all these things can lead to different cognitive biases, where let's say I might think in a particular way which some other people might not think. So when you work together in a team that way, you have different ideologies, different people working together. So again, this cognitive bias is something which we have seen throughout our life. Maybe any racism, or maybe any you can say anything which is there evolving, or which is there around us. So these all things, they do affect our psychology, human psychology, and whatever is there inside brain, because eventually the machines are trained by the humans themselves. So if the humans themselves are having certain bias in their thinking, so definitely that will be reflected in the machine. So first is the cognitive bias, which comes very naturally to the human beings. Second could be the lack of complete data. Maybe we don't want the machine to be biased that way, but again, the data we have is not good enough for them to understand. Maybe the data in itself has biased, or maybe the data is not biased but it is incomplete. Maybe the data set is not balanced, it's unbalanced. So all these things and various different things, maybe the pre-processing of data is not done correctly. So all those things, let's say all these unwanted results are also due to the lack of sufficient data, because eventually we want the data to be perfect for the machines to learn, because they eventually rely on this data for their learning. So this could also be one of the reasons for the bias, and obviously there could be many other reasons too. So broadly we see, we can say that AI bias can be of these two types. Now we saw some of the examples also for the AI bias. So we saw the bias recruiting tool also. I think in batch two, one of the student, they explained the biases in the recruiting tool which companies usually use. So recently one company was also scrutinized for having a biased recruiting software that they were using to screen the resume of the candidates or to conduct the test that way. Even Amazon was the one in 2014. Amazon was also scrutinized because it was using a biased recruiting tool. And that tool was biased towards women. And what that tool was doing, it was automatic. So basically, the earlier, obviously, we know that resumes and everything are shortlisted by the humans themselves. So to reduce their bias, they come up with an automatic based systems. So an automatic based tool, recruiting tool that would automatically screen the resumes of applicants, and uh, you can go ahead with further processing of their candidature. However, later on that Amazon realized that the recruiting tool was not fair enough and it contained biases against women, because the data on which it was trained, so it was trained on the historical data from the last 10 years. So Amazon used the historical last 10 years historical data to train that AI based tool. But since we know this engineering field was usually dominated by men, it is being dominated by men. That those 10 years, the data that it had usually, it was that data was dominated by men, obviously. So the tool was biased against the women. So whenever there was some words, maybe let's say women's, any woman who wrote like I was the chess captain club in my this time, or anything where this woman word or some other keywords were there, the resume of those persons was not shortlisted that way. So again, that later on Amazon realized that thing, that this bias is inside the data. Obviously they do not plan to create such a system, but again the bias automatically got into the system due to the training data, due to the bias that is existing in the society. That bias was caught in the data, and machines eventually learned from that data only. So this was also one of the example of the biased recruiting tool. Similarly, we had a recent example also where the companies are using a software which was biased, again how they screen the applicants and how they test the applicants. In batch 2, one of the student explained that whole example to the students. Then racial bias, this also we have seen that racial bias is also there in the healthcare system. So this is also one of the example that the healthcare risk prediction algorithm was developed, and it used the 200 million US citizens data, and the algorithm was designed so that it could predict that who all are the patients that need some extra medical care. Okay, so that the algorithm, the doctors could focus more on maybe those people. But however, again the algorithm was biased, and it somehow favored the white patients over the black patients. So again, this was also one of the bias that resulted in the healthcare system. Third was the bias in Facebook ads. So again, one of the bias by Facebook, where they saw that the ads that are usually posted to, or the ads that are usually recommended to women, were basically from the roles like nursing or secretary jobs and so on. And maybe, and for men, those jobs were completely different. Some high paying jobs were recommended to them, and but for the men from minority background, again the jobs were reflected that way based on their background. So again the background, the gender and everything came into the picture while recommending certain jobs to the people, which is wrong, obviously. That so the Facebook, so now the Facebook, even when this you can say the AI, the Amazon who tries to build recruiting tool, or any Facebook who tries to recommend ad, maybe now they are very specific on what data they collect. Maybe they no longer you can say the for the you can say recruitment tool, they no longer collect the gender of the people who are posting their resume. So that the algorithm doesn't get the gender, doesn't learn anything based on the gender of the people. So they are also trying to come up with these things. What if we completely remove the gender of the people? How algorithm will behave that way? We don't want algorithm to depend on the gender of the people to learn. So again, different people coming up with the different ideas so as to remove the biases in the system. Now, the thing is how machines actually learn these unhealthy stereotypes. or these unhealthy, you can say, behavior, which we explicitly do not, want them to learn. They automatically learn from the data themselves. So if you can say, look at the analogy, so basically, the, you can say, the data or anything which the machines learn, we all know that is from the data that is there, maybe on the internet, or maybe anyone provides that data. So let's say we learn from the data that is there on the internet. Okay, so if you, let's say, read entire data from the internet for a particular problem statement, you might see that, there are certain analogy that is being followed. Like if you have a analogy as man is to woman, as father is to whom, so machine will automatically see that, based on the enormous data that it is being given, the word which is commonly used with father and following this analogy is mother. Okay, so based on its understanding, its learning, it could directly come up with this word. Similarly, man is to woman as king is to, then automatically the machine, goes through the data, understands the pattern, and it reflects that with king you have the word queen more, which is eventually related to a woman maybe. So it can directly, give this result. But when you give the analogy as man is to computer programmer, as woman is to, now in this particular, you can say, problem statement, the answer the answer could be the woman is also a computer programmer, right? But it gives you the answer as woman is to homemaker. So this analysis basically was, explained in this paper by this particular scientist. So this is the paper in 2016. Bolak Bakshi was the scientist who came up with this unhealthy stereotype that the machines usually learn when they, come up with the different embeddings or different vectors for the words. So we know, as I explained, that with every word internally they are represented with some numbers or vectors format that way. So if, let's say, the machine interprets the word man as 1:1, so if we plot this word, this could be here at this position in the graph. Man is at 1:1 at this position. Then computer programmer, it's internally it stores the embedding as 3:2. So there is the embedding for computer programmer, and for women it stores as 2:3. Now when it wants to get the analogy for this particular word, that what women is to, what should come here, what it does, it internally, it, you can say, construct a parallelogram maybe. So in this way, a rectangle, to be very specific, yes, in this particular way, and it sees what is the position, or this at 4:4, what is the word here at this 4:4 location. So at this 4:4 location, the word homemaker is there. So it simply gives you this as output. Or maybe it sees that, man is to computer programmer. So for computer programmer, for this analogy, you have to move 2 steps to right and 1 step above. Okay, so if I want to see woman is to what, again I will move 2 steps to the right, which is at this and this position, and 1 step above, which is again this particular location. So at this particular location, the embedding or the word which has this embedding is the word homemaker there. So internally it computes like that. So again, these numbers which are calculated, which are stored here, are because of the embeddings that you use. And these embeddings that you use are some people, now majorly people usually go for the pre-trained embeddings, as I already explained in the previous lectures. You have many pre-trained embeddings like what to wake, you have Glove pre-trained embedding, the what to wake. So these embeddings, they are being trained, or they are being, you can say, fine-tuned on an enormous amount of data. Maybe the data from Wikipedia, entire Wikipedia data, or maybe some entire news articles that way. So they are trained on that amount of data so that we can get embeddings of each word. Okay, and internally, obviously, the embeddings can be stored in this particular graph, and that's how the machine learns that, man is to computer programmer. So for computer programmer, you take two steps to the right, one step above. So if I want to predict the embedding of, or predict the word which comes here after woman, then again I have to follow the same step, and whatever word that is there at this particular location will be the output that way. And this embedding internally is learned from the data, from the embeddings, the pre-trained embeddings that we use. And these embeddings obviously it's trained from the huge amount of data. So obviously somewhere in the data itself, these uh, the word homemaker was very closely, or was very close to the word woman. So whenever, in sentences that were there on internet, so homemaker and woman was, used, were there, the positions of these two words were very close in those texts maybe. So that's how they learned that, there is some relation between woman and homemaker. That is why it is keep on repeating in different sentences, and they are very close. Maybe the relation between man and homemaker, they couldn't find many sentences where man and woman and man and homemaker are very close, or the distance between these two words are very close in these sentences. So that's why they have seen that, with man, the word that is usually very close is maybe the programmer, and with woman, the word that is mostly being used is the homemaker. So again, this data, who generated this data? We only generated all these data, and that's how they are learning. They are learning that, with sentences that we human post, that we human write, in that what is the distance between different words that way. So the distance between these words, some words which are very close to each other, they learn those differences, they learn those patterns, and accordingly they give you the output. Now, this was with respect to the words that we found on the internet, right? Uh, However, if you see the pictures for, let's say, if I have a task of object detection, right? If I have this task to detect the different objectives, now for object detection, I will be using the images here. Okay, let's see what particular image tries to convey to me. So if, let's say, I have this image given to me, okay, this image, now all these images are cooking images. If I, just I want to train my model on all the cooking images so that it learns that, what are the patterns, or maybe what are the features that it should learn to identify people, or identify who all are cooking that way. So these are the different types of cooking images that we want the model to learn. And these are the predictions or the output that the model tries to give. Okay, that maybe in this entire picture that is given to you, you need to maybe identify the different objects that are there inside the images, or maybe you want to segment the images into different parts. So if you see here, it identifies maybe agent who is cooking. So he's the model is trying to identify the person who tries to cook. The model tries to identify the food that is being cooked. Then it tries to identify the heat. What is the heating device here? What is the tool that is being used? What is the place here? So we want the model supposed to, come up with the answers of each of these 5 questions that way. So we want it to learn that way only. Now, if you see these images, for the first value, the agent, it gives output as woman, which is correct. Second case also it gives the output as woman, which is correct. Third case the output is also woman, which is correct. Now fourth case, you see, even when the it was seen that, even when the object or when the image of a man is given to the model, still by looking at, you know, that maybe it's a kitchen and maybe stoves is there, vegetable is there, tongs are there, so the model is giving the output as women. In many cases it was being seen that, you know, the output was women. So even the object detection systems, the images, they also have bias in them. They are also, you know, learning the patterns or learning the features where they see that, you know, maybe when in the image when there are let's say uh, kitchen or maybe some vegetables, maybe a tool is there. Okay, so definitely the agent there will be women. This is the maximum probability that the agent will be women only. So this bias is keep on amplifying to different modalities also. It's not that in text we see that it is able to learn the uh, words that are very close to each other. So woman and homemaker are very close to each other, so it is learning the bias from the text data only. It is also learning the bias from the images also. Okay, so because maybe you can say the images that constantly are given to the model are in the cooking. When we talk about cooking, maybe the images that are constantly given to the model are the one where the agent is woman only. So maybe obviously because of that it is able to, you know, generate this pattern that whenever we have a kitchen or maybe some vegetables and all, so definitely the agent will be woman. So this gender bias is keep on amplifying even in the visual labeling also. So the question is why this bias actually matters. Okay, why do we care about this bias? So as we have seen that the hiring tool, the Amazon hiring tool that discriminated against women, so obviously the women, they will not be given certain jobs, and obviously the discrimination will keep on amplifying in the society. The facial recognition system, this also we see that, you know, the facial recognition system. One example also, I don't know in your batch or in the second batch, when the student was explaining the PPT, they showed that, you know, when the image is given to the model where the image is of a hand and the hand is holding a gun. So when the hand is of a dark skinned individual, okay, in that case the model is able to identify the object that is there inside the hand as gun. Whereas when the hand is of a light skinned person, there the model was given incorrect prediction and was not identifying the object as gun. So again, why is it so? Is the model, you know, does the model is trained on the data where it is showing that, you know, the gun and all these objects only belong to the dark skinned individual? Is it so? Is it actually learning these kind of patterns, or is it some error that is creeping in the model? What is the exact case here? So again, for bank loan approvals, so people have seen that the minority class that is there, they are given, they are not given much higher loans, or maybe very high interest rate, or and so on. So even for the bank loan, the algorithm and everything is not so, you can say, transparent, that they can rely on the AI based system to suggest or to approve the loans of the individuals. And finally, for removing the toxic effect of the unhealthy stereotypes. So obviously this we see, this we have just seen that, you know, what are the unhealthy stereotypes that usually reflect in the market. So let's say if you go to the Google and type the image of CEO, right? If a little girl, they she types on the Google as CEO, and she will get all the images related to male only. So obviously there will be some, maybe you can say something, some bias that is automatically being generated inside her mind, that, whenever I write CEO, I get only male images. So probably this particular job or this particular job profile is, you know, directly related to male only. Maybe this is not for me, this is not for the girls or for the women, that way. So automatically this is creating some unhealthy stereotypes in the society that we do not want. Okay, so that's why the entire argument against bias and everything matters. Now, how can you actually minimize the bias? Now, first thing is, some these are some basic steps which could be followed to minimize the bias. So first is, you should fully understand the context of the AI system, or you should fully understand the algorithm and the data, and see that the where the risk of this unfairness is high in your system, whether the problem you are doing in which particular, you know, problem segment, in which particular subset the problem of this unfairness, the risk of unfairness is high. So you have to identify those areas where this risk is high. Next, you should establish processes or practices that should definitely identify the potential sources of bias and should not affect the accuracy of your model. And so basically, maybe these strategies could include certain technical strategies too. Okay, technical means how do you involve tools to identify the biases in your system. Some operational strategies also, like how you can improve your data collection process. The data collection process is also very necessary. Again, after collecting, after pre-processing only, the entire things happen. So data collection, data pre-processing is also very important. Okay, and some organizational strategies also, like what matrices you used to evaluate your algorithm. Okay, and what tools you use to evaluate those algorithms. So this we'll see in the upcoming slide, what matrices I'm talking about. Next, third can be, you should consider, you should consider that how human driven process might be improved, like how basically you want to build a model and you want to highlight the bias that have gone unnoticed for a long time. So we want that, you know, we should identify those potential biases that are, we want the machine to identify those biases that are there in the human decisions. So how we want, you know, again, this will be a very challenging thing, that how maybe through training, through process design, or through cultural changes, we try to improve the overall process and reduce the bias. And finally, we want them to decide on use cases where this augmented decision making should be performed. So just fully explore how human and machines can work together, and invest more and more on the research and development part. So research and development basically here means that, you know, you should involve different people like social scientists, some experts, some many some engineers who know different, who are very well versed in their particular area, and who come up and, you know, who can actually explain, maybe social scientists, maybe some experts, they can explain that, you know, what particular bias can be there in your system, maybe which the engineers and everything, they are not able to visualize. So we want more and more research, more and more involvement, more and more development, so that people from, you know, different backgrounds, different multidisciplinary background, they can come and they can help in, you can say, reducing this bias. And finally, you can have a diverse AI community to identify the bias. So that again, maintaining a diverse AI team will help you to mitigate the unwanted bias, because again, you will have the opinions of many people. You will, if you work together as a team, in which you have people from different backgrounds. So obviously they are the one who might have faced this bias in their life, so they will be the best person, you know, to make you understand, or to, or they will be the best person who can maybe tell us that, you know, this particular system may suffer from all these biases. So it's better to have those people also. So it's, that's why we usually see companies, these big companies, they usually have this multicultural environment where people from all around the world, obviously now to every IT companies, they are looking for those people, but the main idea is to have people from all around the world so that we can get multiple thoughts, multiple ideas, and we can uh, best use their knowledge, maybe their experience, whatever they have gone through, and could build more robust systems that way. So steps that I already explained. So again, so how you can reduce the bias? First, by using the less bias or more inclusive data, having diverse workforce. This I've already explained. People from different background, different cultures. Using transparency tools. This also we see companies are going and looking for different transparency tools. IBM, we have used IBM 360 degree fairness tool, Google what Swift tools, and so on. So these tools, transparency fairness tools, are constantly being used to make system transparent, understand them, and to reduce the bias. And finally, the fourth term, using different evaluation matrices. So this is something which people, not only the organizations, even the scientists and all, they usually, this is the first thing which people do whenever they build the algorithm, that they use different matrices to evaluate their algorithm and see whether there are any errors or whether the classifier is biased to any particular sample or any particular class in the entire data set. So these are the different evaluation matrices. So let's see what are these different evaluation matrices which we use, and which everyone who is involved in the AI development, even if you have used the you have developed any AI based tool, any if you have worked on any problem statement which is related to AI, you might have definitely used these evaluation matrices to evaluate the algorithm which you are building. So let's see these evaluation matrices. So first we have confusion matrix, then we have precision recall, F accuracy, F score or F1 score, true positive rate, false positive rate, specificity, ROC, precision recall curve. So these are some of the evaluation matrices which are very basic, very important, and very much used by everyone who is involved in the AI research part. And if you say you have developed any AI based algorithm, you are using AI, so definitely you might have used any of these or maybe more than one evaluation matrix. So coming to the first one, which is the confusion matrix in machine learning. So I think many of you might be very well aware of what is confusion matrix, how you can calculate the confusion matrix. So I am just giving you a brief of again what is a confusion matrix for those who have no idea about this. So confusion matrix is something which gives you the summary of your prediction results. So as I explained, if you have a model with you, you feed some input data and it gives you some output, that is some predictions. Okay, so this output can be like it belongs to this A class. Okay, let's say 90% probability it belongs to A class, 10% probability it belongs to B class. So it gives you certain output that way. Now you want to see whether the output, now see if the output says that there are 90% chances that the algorithm will belong to class A, or then in that case you select class A as your final output class. So again, now how can you be sure that this class A or the output that, similarly you can have the output for each and every input sample that you give your model. Now how can you be sure that the output which the model is giving me, or the output the set of output that I got, are correct enough, or how much correct they are, or how much incorrect are these predictions? So all these are the predictions that the model predict. So I want to know that how correct are these predictions, or how many predictions were wrong. So let's say in this particular case, the model predicted A. However, if you look at the input, you will see that the actual output should be class B, whereas model predicted it to be class A. So this is an incorrect prediction. Okay, so let's say I have 1,000 input with me. So in those 1,000 input, how many samples were correctly classified and how many were incorrectly classified? This whole summary is given by the confusion matrix in the data. So it gives you the summary of the number of correct and incorrect predictions that is broken down by each class. That is, in each class, let's say for class A, how many samples were correctly classified, and for class B, how many samples were incorrectly classified. So uh, the confusion matrix, it shows the ways in which your classification model is confused when it makes the predictions. So basically, obviously, so if the actual input belongs to class A and it classify it as class B, and vice versa happens, so how confused this model is, the algorithm or the model that you have built, how confused is that model? All this is summarized by the confusion matrices. So this is an example of the confusion matrix. So suppose I have a data set which has 165 samples in it. Okay, so total number of samples that are there are 165, and the output classes are only two, yes and no. So two output classes are there. So yes means that the person has the disease, that yes, the person is suffering from the disease, and no means the person is not having a disease. Okay, so for this, let's say 165 patients were tested for presence of, let's say, a particular disease, maybe presence of cancer or not. So 165 patients were tested, and out of 165, some were having the heart disease and some were not having the heart disease. So this is the entire motive of this, let's say, this task, this algorithm. Now if I plot, suppose the entire 165 patients input was given to the model, it will obviously give you predictions, 165 predictions corresponding to each and every patient. So entire 165 predictions are summarized in this particular confusion matrix. So if you see, this is divided into four main parts. First, this reflects the actual predictions. Okay, and these are the predicted values. Predicted values. One second. So these are the actual values and these are the predicted values. So these are the actual values and this is the predicted value. I have avoided the whole actual prediction, otherwise it will confuse you. So these are the actual values, means the true values. Actually, whether the patient is having disease or not. So actual no, actual yes means if you look at this particular row of this actual no, you will see actually there were 60 patients who were not having the heart disease, and actually there were 105 patients who were actually having the heart disease. So total this gives you how many? This gives you 165 values, right? So total this is 165, that were the total patients. So if you see in this particular case that actually there were 60 patients who were not having the heart disease, and actually there were 105 patients who were having the heart disease. However, if you see this predicted no value, you will see that in this particular case that the output, that the model predicted no for 55 people, that according to model there were 55 people that were not having the heart disease, and according to the model there were 110 people that were having the heart disease, right? So you see the difference. This is the actual predictions and this is the model prediction. So here this they are in no in this particular case there's five less patients that are incorrectly classified. Okay, these 5 patients, there the count should be 60 and here the count should be 105. So total 10 patients, the results of these 10 patients are wrong that way. So or maybe the 5 patients that are here that got transferred here. So total these 5 patients, there's something wrong in the prediction. So you can see the entire summary in your model that you know what should have been the actual performance and what should have been what the model actually predicted. So this is the entire summary of your prediction, and then you can say okay, there are some the model, there are some 5 people who should be get into this no category, but they went into this yes category. So you can later on you can see these 5 samples also, and you can see what is exactly wrong in these 5 samples that model is not able to identify them. Maybe they have some noise, maybe any complicated feature is there, or maybe you need some better feature technique to make the model understand about all these algorithms, about all these 5 patients data also. So this is the entire summary of your model, the entire confusion matrix which summarize the predictions of your model. Now, if you again see this particular data, you will see that there are terms such as TN, FP, FN, and TP. So TP stands for true positives. Okay, so true positives, if you see here, those are the one where actually the value was yes, and model also predicted them yes. That these are the cases, these are the person that were actually having the heart disease, and the model also predicted yes for them. So that value is true positive, means truly, in true sense, they were being classified into a positive class. Now true negatives, if you see, so true negatives are the one which is in this particular case where actually the patients were not having the heart disease, and the model also predicted them that these patients, they are not having the heart disease. So for that particular case the number is 50. Now see another example, another dimension, which is the false positive. So false positive, if you see here, these are the one that were not having the heart disease, but the model falsely predicted them to be in the positive class, to be in the yes class, and that's why it said that you are having the heart disease. So false positive means falsely or wrongly you are being considered, or you are being categorized into a positive class, which is yes in this case. Now false negative means and false positive is also referred to as type 1 error. Okay, because obviously these two prediction in this and this, these are the errors, these are not the actual value. The actual value, the exact values are only this one and this one. These two cells only have the exact value, rest these two, they have the error. So this is known as type 1 error. And next, this is type 2 error. So type 2 error or false negative means actually the patients were having the disease, but the model falsely identified them to the negative class or to this no class. Means they were having the disease, but they were falsely said that you were not having the disease. So this is the false negative here. So this false negative belongs to the type 2 error. Okay, so we want to see how many type 1 and type 2 errors are there in the system. For some of the tasks, maybe type 2 error is very important. In some of the cases, the type 2 error is very important. In some of the cases, type 1 error might be very important. In some of the cases, both the errors are very important that way. Okay, so again, this is very important to focus or to see in your model which error is there, whether type 1 error, whether type 2 error, which error should be reflected more, which error should be taken into consideration. All this depends on your problem statement in which you are working. So again, so if we look at the confusion matrix, we can calculate different terms or different matrices from it, like recall, precision, accuracy, F score. So they are different. These are the different um, values, which different evaluation matrices which we can calculate from confusion matrices. Okay, so this we'll see in next class, how to calculate all these matrices, because all this, it's better to take all this in one go. So okay then, anyone having any doubt